What's going on, folks? Welcome to your back live stream post-game edition brought to you by Mr. Dirk. The Oilers squeaking out a 5-4 overtime win tonight against the San Jose Sharks. Wouldn't classify it as pretty. It was pretty bizarre. All kinds of video review, weird goals, different people contributing. You got to find a way to win games on a night when you're not bringing your best stuff. The Oilers did that tonight. Jason Strudwick is on the way to break it all down in just a minute. First, a reminder, Got Your Back, brought to you by Mr. Dirk, our good friends over there. What a great clothing store it is. Absolutely iconic, Mr. Dirk is. They have been around a long time here in town. They've been an absolute fixture, and it's because they have high-quality clothing. Whatever it is you're looking for. If you want a brand new suit, if you want a sports coat, sharpen up your look around the office, they got all sorts of classy dress clothes and suit brands for you. Or if you want something a little more casual, they can take care of you on that front as well. They've got great shirts, jeans, all kinds of stuff, jackets, shoes, whatever you need to up your clothing game. Go see Sterling and Dan and the great crew down at Mr. Dirk, just off White Avenue and 102nd Street. Okay, let's bring in Struds here. A different looking background here, Struds. We got Zuby too in Kelowna. Like, Struds, we just fixed your background. We just fixed it in the basement, and now what are we dealing with here? Like, you're in a grassy field with some flowers and sunflowers. What is happening?
Yeah, just trying to keep it fresh, right? Trying to keep it fresh, trying to keep it positive after quite a high event Oilers game versus the Sharks tonight.
Yeah, so you've got, bottom line, you got people sleeping downstairs, and so you can't be in your regular studio. This is artwork where? In your kitchen? This is the Strudwick living room? Like, what do we got?
That's dining room. This is the dining room. It's so this is where I come and just sit and meditate and feel better about myself, and the days are feeling gray.
I don't know, Zuby. I think we got that's a fine of some sort tonight, that background for Struds.
I guess, I don't know. Like I was saying, I think I would feel so calm eating there. That's the calmest I could imagine having a meal, strolling through a dewy meadow.
That's the goal. That's the goal, guys.
No, I'm going to say that Shona probably picked that one, right? Would be my guess.
This is actually mine. It's actually a friend of mine.
Really?
Giselle. Giselle does it, and I love it. I just feel
it's
better.
Nice. Don't get me wrong. It's nice.
Yeah.
Tucker Savage just chimed in. By the way, we are live streaming here on Twitter and on YouTube. I'm a little punchy tonight, too. It's been a long day, so this will be a shorter stream, but it might come off the rails a little bit. He says, Tucker Savage says, Struddy's in Narnia.
Yeah, fair point. I also like that show, but yeah, it's just relaxing. Giselle does things I just love. It's very relaxing.
That's awesome. Bob Ross influence for Struddy says Perks or us. Zuby, you're going to monitor Twitter comments. We're going to have, we'll take your comments in the Weiss Johnson Twitter mentions and on YouTube as well. So we are streaming. And let's get to this game because, bizarre night on a night where you'd think the Oilers would just be able to grab this thing and run with it, but they certainly took the long way home. So let's get to the breakdown brought to you by DLR Vinyl Products. They supply some fantastic maintenance-free vinyl fencing and decking. If it's time to redo some of that content in your backyards, really think about going maintenance-free. It's awesome. I have it. The beautiful thing about maintenance-free is once it goes in, you don't have to deal with it anymore after that. There's no staining, there's no sanding, there's no painting, nothing like that. It goes in, it's beautiful the day it goes in, and it stays that way, totally maintenance-free. Grab the pressure washer, clean it off once every couple of years if you feel like it, or don't. DLR Vinyl Products locations in Calgary and in Edmonton as well. Okay, Struds, I'm just going to lay this one out for you. Just going to lay it out there for you, buddy. How do you summarize what we saw tonight?
In one sentence, it was a high event game. Just small breakdowns on both sides kind of contributed. We saw a Swedish defenseman dominate. And I think, one goalie was really in the zone and the other goalie was trying to find his zone. So they got the 2 points, which is key, but I think there's quite a few you can kind of sort out as you look ahead to the next game against the Coyotes. What did you see?
Well, I mean, I saw a video, a night filled with video review. I saw Jack Campbell let 3 of the first 6 shots that went towards him by him. whether it was either a couple of them in and one of them off the post. Man, what a brutal start to the game, quite frankly, for Campbell. But he was able to rally and find his game and made a couple of critical saves later. He was Jay Woodcroft was asked whether or not he thought about pulling him and after 2 periods, and he didn't. And I'm glad he didn't. I think it was still a 1-goal game, and you got to let him battle his way through. But it was a shaky start for Campbell and a shaky night. And I think, the video review team, Jeremy Kupal, I mean, to have 3 in 1 game is unbelievable. How about 4? You count the one that San Jose had, but a bizarre night, Struds. And I mean, I don't know. I think the memo has been sent to goaltenders. If someone's standing in your crease, find a way to bump into them and you'll be good on review.
I didn't really like either goal that was called back for the goal interference. I thought Hyman, I get the spirit of you're not supposed to bump into the goalie, but he kind of had his spot, right? And but I get he can't free move and all that thing. I understand that, and even the one for the Oilers, I don't know. I get it. I get that's the rule. It doesn't mean I have to like it, but I do get it.
Yeah, it just feels like if the goalie clearly initiates the contact, I mean, that's easy to tell, isn't it? Or you're just not supposed to be there at all as a forward. Just the lesson is just don't go there because if there's any contact at all.
Well, let's talk about the Hyman one first. I don't think he's making that save no matter where Hyman is, right? Like, I think he's in the crease now. That when the one that was called back with Campbell, I think there's a legitimate dispute that he was unable to get set for the shot because of where the player was inside his crease. So I can kind of live with that. But I mean, I don't know. I think we almost have to go back to the days of nobody in the blue paint. Nobody in the blue paint, and just make it clear and simple. I don't remember why that came off the shelf. Maybe you would understand, or why it was put back on the shelf, but that seems like a lot clearer. Like now it's just, you're right. I think if you're a goalie, you just bump into the guy. Oh, I couldn't get my feet set or my hands up. And I don't know. I think you just double that down with all the offside reviews. It kind of, I find the game gets it drags on a little bit.
Let's have 2 separate conversations here. One is Jack Campbell's night. 2 is the Oilers' night defending neutral zone play. And I think both deserve some attention here. So let's start with the Oilers. I mean, that second period, just some of the stuff in the neutral zone and kind of blown coverages and then weird stuff in their own end, and just felt like an extremely loose night on the details. And that's going to drive Jay Woodcroft nuts because he likes to hammer home the details, but felt really loose on the details defensively and in the neutral zone tonight.
It did. I had a conversation with a guy that's very high on analytics, and he was talking about how the Oilers are actually doing pretty good about giving their chances against in the last let's say 40 50 games or whatever the number was, 30 games, let's say. And I get it. Like, I understand what he's talking about, but when I see a night like that, it's just there's a way to be more detailed defensively, and it's not a skill. It's just being in the right place. And I'll talk about the goal. I think it was Carlson's first one, I think, where the D-men both shift over and take the 2-on-2, CC and Nurse, and then you have Hyman and Kane coming back, just kind of taking it easy, getting back. You got to get back there quick. When there's someone in front of you, you got to catch them and get in front of them. And there's a number of plays we could have talked about, even the waved off goal from, I forget who scored that one, but Bouchard just sagging a little bit in front of his net. And I thought Bouchard had a good game.
But that was Gregor, wasn't it? That was Gregor's nephew.
No, that was a 2-on-1, right? Wasn't that?
Oh yeah, that was the 2-on-1. Sorry.
So I think there's just a way of just being a little bit more detailed defensively, and it's not a huge stretch to do it. But I think it's that attention to detail. And I think that's something that, because you give up this many goals against San Jose, and you really had to dig hard to make it. And I think when you're playing a team like San Jose, you kind of allow them to get in the game and feel good about themselves. They start, well, we've got a chance. Let's keep playing. When you can put them out of their misery early, it's a lot longer night for them. And the Oilers were unable to do that. And I think away from the puck is where they are challenged tonight.
We're going to go to the Weiss Johnson soundbox here. Struds, you picked the clips post game. So get to which one do you want? I'll do the ad read here real quick. But which one do you want first?
Let's jump into hold on, what do I got here? Let's jump into the I think it was on Bjugstad on what they need to work on.
Okay, Bjugstad on what they need to work on. By the way, we talked to him post game. Real good talker. He had some really thoughtful comments about the team's game, and I think he's been a real good add in that locker room. I've heard some real good things about his presence around the room. Quickly, though, Weiss Johnson has 45 years in the business. That is reliability. Should you need a new furnace, garage heater, air conditioner, a hot water tank, or if you have those things, you need any kind of servicing done, you absolutely can count on Weiss Johnson. They're the place to go. The number one choice for heating, air conditioning, and plumbing services. Give Dennis and the crew a call down at Weiss Johnson, 780-463-3096. And I don't have the jingle queued up tonight. Crap. Oh, Zuby, quick on the trigger there. Nick Bjugstad post-game. Here he is.
Crazy game. A lot of disallowed goals, obviously. Few in our favor. So, we definitely need to clean some things up, and our urgency early wasn't there, so I think that was the main problem. And obviously this team doesn't have a hard time scoring, at least as of late. So it's when you put up that many goals, it's fun, but you also defensively want to find ways to minimize their goals and their chances.
Definitely didn't minimize those enough tonight. We're going to talk in more detail in our takeaway segment about Nick Bjugstad, Struds. We just talked about the Oilers' attention to detail or lack thereof in the defensive zone and the neutral zone. Let's get to Campbell's game here. Clearly wasn't a great start. How would you sum up a victorious night for Jack Campbell on the as far as results go?
Yeah, I went to the morning skate this morning, and I was there when he got out there on the ice before everybody else, and I kind of got the sense just from his body language he was starting. So I have high hopes for this guy as far as becoming something you can fall back on if required. And because I think that's an area they got to have. They got to have two goalies if needed. I'm not saying he's a starter right now, but he's got to be ready.
No, he's not.
So I was hoping he would be have a stronger start. It's just tough. You're like, oh man, some long rebounds, trying to fight the puck a little bit, trying to find it. So at the end of the day, he gets the win, and he made two key saves in overtime. I thought that really might help his confidence, because I think a lot of it's for confidence for him is where he's struggling. So I like that he got the 2 points. I like that he got the win. He kind of take a breath, say, okay, I wasn't my best tonight, but I was able to find a way to get the guys 2 points or help the guys get 2 points and move on from there. I may be advocating earlier today to get him a start right away against Arizona. I don't think we'll see that. I think he'll probably go back into the backup role and allow Stu Skinner to come in and just kind of be a little bit steady with the way he feels about his game right now. What did you see?
Yeah, well, and I think too, by starting Skinner, you're not making him wait a full week between his starts, which it would be if you went with Campbell. Yeah, and on Campbell, I didn't like his start, right? You don't like, you talked about the rebound. You don't like getting beat early like that. But his team didn't show up for him either. So the criticism that you put on him, I echo that on his team as well, because they didn't bring the game they needed to early. So it's a shared thing. We're talking about him separately, but really it is a shared thing. The Bison Mask guy on our Twitter mentions has some support for Campbell, says they fought the puck hard tonight. I don't get how people are running all over Campbell tonight. And I don't think maybe I was a bit hard on him off the top, but I didn't like his game early on. I feel like you need to be better. He's had lots of time to work on it. You get in there, you've been in the league. This is new to you. I expected him to have his game. Nobody on the team did, and it took some time. They backed their way into it. So, it wasn't an ideal night, but then he fought back hard. And listen, on a night where everyone's struggling and everyone's making some mistakes, he made some, but then buckled down. I mean, that save that he made in overtime, like that's a massive point-saving save that he made. And by sticking with him, Jay Woodcroft gave him the opportunity to find that moment.
Oh, for sure. And you talked about the idea of bringing him out after the second period. That'd been a tough one, right? His team's battling. They're trying to get back in. You pull him out. I understand the spirit, but I think that might, cripple him. So you leave him in. He finds a way to get the win. And I think that's really important. He does get the win, and he contributed to that as the game wore on.
Yeah, and then when it mattered most, he was there and made a nice save in overtime when they really needed him. I'm just looking at the list he sent me here. Matthias Ekholm tonight. So he's got this slap shot that he's used a couple of times now. It's funny. He sort of said, "Don't expect this from me." He said that to his post game, like, "Don't be expecting this from me often. This is not. I've had like one other 2-goal game in my entire career." But things that I've noticed from an offensive standpoint. He's already on the second power play unit ahead of Kulak, which I thought immediately when I saw that Kulak was there. And, I said this in the press box. It's not going to be long before Ekholm is there. Just had a sense that he was going to be able to take over that spot. So he's getting some power play time with the second unit. He's shown the ability to get that shot off. It's an absolute bomb. Not only is he doing what he's doing defensively and almost never on the ice for those even strength goals against, but he's contributing at the other end too now, and he's making some real nice plays in the offensive zone. Just adding to the list of things that he has brought to this group.
I was at the morning skate this morning, and the shot that he took Ekholm,
you mentioned that
the forehand, the way they did that exact drill, just got it. He was at the top of the circle, in the middle of the ice, slid down, got the pass, and absolutely sent a rocket. It's crazy. It was like, oh my God, that's the drill we saw this morning. But what I see and I didn't appreciate is how much time he spends jumping off the offensive blue line in the offensive zone. Now, I don't remember him doing as much as Nashville. You'd have to talk.
Sorry, explain that. Jumping off what did you say?
The offensive blue line. So he a lot of times D-men, traditionally they've stood more on the blue line. So you get the puck, maybe it's you get it and you pass it to your buddy, your D-to-D pass, and you kind of stay there. But what he's doing, and I didn't see this as much when I watched him with Nashville. To be fair, I don't watch every Nashville game, but he's giving the puck to Bouchard and he's jumping through. So that means he's maybe taking 5-6 hard strides towards the net. Is there an option for Bouchard to pass to him? If not, that's fine, because where he leaves that blue line, usually that opens up ice, and then a guy like McDavid or Leon or whoever can go into that vacated ice, and now that's an open area for them to get the pass, and now you've created space for a talented player on your ice.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, so you can see he's doing that, and again, he's not always looking for the puck in that situation, but it is something that I'm really surprised by. And again, you'd have to talk to a Nashville guy that sees him all the time, but especially tonight, it was very, very clear. He was feeling it coming off the blue line all over the place.
Yeah, he's had some decent offensive seasons. Like, his offensive game's probably a little bit underrated, as is his puck moving. You kind of think of him as this stalwart defensive guy, but he's a pretty good two-way defenseman, and has shown that throughout different portions of his career. Zuby, you're managing the YouTube mentions there in our Weiss Johnson YouTube mentions. Anything standing out to you, or what are the people saying tonight, Zuby?
We had one from Davin, who's a regular listener and commenter, and he was wondering if you guys had thoughts on the play where Reimer interfered with Nuge and was not called for interfering with Nuge.
Man.
I'm glad he brought that up.
Really?
Yeah, goalies shouldn't be allowed to do that, Struds. Rules of holding is holding, whether you're a tender or not. Hey, I get it. It's your crease, but that was a penalty all day long.
Yeah, if you're going to call it where the goalies are bumped and they get a call, or a puck taken out of their net, you've got to do the same. He literally, it was a great tackle, actually. I think that Nuge was on this. I think he was on the 7-yard line, and he was only able to get up to the 5th because he got around him, got waist, and took him down. It's clearly a penalty. And I went back, actually watched the replay. You can see the referee was 10 feet away looking at it, and it impeded the progress of a goal being scored. Smart play by Reimer, but those have to be called. And I think when you're a player, that's what you get upset about, because there's a double standard.
Yeah,
that should be called immediately. Immediately, that should be called. And I think everyone on the ice felt the same way. I mean, Connor put his arms up. It's like, what's going on here? And I 100% agree with him. I'm not usually an anti-ref guy, but in that moment, it's so clear, because importantly, Schauger takes away a scoring chance.
Yeah, big time. And Nugent Hopkins kind of looked over and just was like, really? Like, we're going to say that that's okay? That was a weird one, and probably a cringy moment for the official when he gets back to the room. And takes a look at that and goes, yeah, that probably shouldn't be allowing that. Darnell Nurse for the overtime winner. He was asked post-game about, how many times he's had breakaways, and sort of chuckled about the fact that, the guys bug him, that he hasn't been able to score on many breakaways. But I think that's an important goal for Darnell Nurse. I mean, he needs to have good things happen for him offensively, right? You got Ekholm burying goals. You got Bouchard stepping in with Barry gone on the power play. Like Nurse wants his offensive cookies too. And overtime is kind of a way that they've preserved some sugar time for Darnell Nurse, right? Doesn't get the top power play, but he's the guy that plays with those two for the most part in overtime. And Jay Woodcroft has kind of protected that for Darnell Nurse, and it is notable that he gets that goal tonight.
Just a classic play, right? You have your right winger deep in the zone and the D-man stretching on 3-on-3 hockey, like just classic. But I was impressed by his speed. I think that, if you're Carlson, you're maybe a little disappointed in the way you back check, because I thought there was a play there to be made if you back checked a little bit harder. But give Darnell a lot of credit. He's able to create a bit of an angle or uncreate the angle for Carlson. And he gets the goal. So huge. They had so many chances that overtime. It was a fun overtime. Like, don't get me wrong. It's not that I enjoy this game. It was, I'd say the second half and overtime was very, very exciting. Tons of shots back and forth. I mean, Bouchard, I'm not sure that doesn't go in. So, they find a way to get to 2 points, and they needed these 2 points. Make no mistake about it. If they have any hope of or aspirations of getting to first and or second in their division, they need to get points against these teams like tonight and Wednesday against the Coyotes.
Absolutely. Any more sound? You had Darnell Nurse. I think a clip maybe from Darnell Nurse, Zuby, that was ready to go in the Weiss Johnson sound box. What was it, Struds?
Yeah. On the team's resiliency.
Okay.
Yeah, I think obviously our group, we got better in here for a full 60-minute effort. But we were resilient. There's nights that you're not going to feel it, but you got to find a way to win, and we did that tonight.
Observation on Evander Kane. I've noticed this since he arrived. It's unique. Not many players do this. It got him into trouble tonight, and I think there's times where it can get him into trouble. Watch him throw body checks, Struds. He always throws body checks with two hands on his stick. Have you noticed that about him?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of guys do. He feels stronger, right? It's a stronger position in one hand.
But he always does. Like guys will, most of the time, they'll remove a hand and they'll kind of, you can use that other hand. But no matter what, he's always got both hands on his stick when he throws body checks. It's unique to him in terms of how much he does it. And it resulted, he came down with the stick. It was a little bit awkward, hit with both hands on the stick, came down. It was a clear trip. I don't know why. I have it in my notes. It's something I've noticed about Evander Kane as notable.
Yeah, I think I'm not sure. You're right. There are guys that don't always hit with two hands, but when you're trying to take a guy out, you will use your two hands. But I think what's unique is that his stick, he kind of keeps two hands on, and it kind of comes up.
It comes up.
Down. Yeah. It goes both ways, and he actually got away with a penalty. I want to say it was on Couture, where I thought he tripped him after a hit, and he even kind of looked around like, did anybody see that? But the rest, for the most part, kind of let things go tonight. But I think for him, it's just something you got to be careful of, because they can just jump up and grab you at the worst time.
All right, let's get to takeaways. Brought to you by Sherwood Buick GMC. I just drove past it on my way into Sherwood Park. Number one GMC dealership in Canada for 5 years running. At Sherwood Buick GMC, they make the buying process streamlined. They make it easy. Sometimes it can be stressful and difficult to execute a deal on a vehicle. It doesn't have to be that way, and it certainly isn't at Sherwood Buick GMC. Bought my truck there. Nice, easy process. Financing is easy. The sales staff is great. And one of the reasons it's easy is because they have vehicles in stock. So if you actually want to get into a vehicle and test drive it, they can help you out with that. They can put you in a vehicle. Fantastic trucks, SUVs, cars. They got a great used lineup as well. It's the big, giant dealership just off Baseline Road on the way into Sherwood Park. So we were going to focus on Nick Bjugstad here tonight. Understated pickup at the deadline by Ken Holland. We knew a forward ad was going to happen. And so here he is, regularly contributing. So 12 minutes and 34 seconds in this game, but scores a goal, and he's showing a nice combination, Struds, of offensive touch, but also real usefulness in the details in the game.
Yeah, you know what? When I see him on the ice, it just the ice looks a lot smaller. He's so long, he's so big, and he's a strong guy. I wouldn't say he's like a powerful man, but he's obviously strong at that size. So it just feels like he takes up a lot of space, and it just when you have that length and you have that ability to skate, which he's a pretty good skater, it just looks like you take up so much room. And as an opposing player, like, well, where am I supposed to go? I've got this really big guy out there that's really long, and then I'll put Fogle in that group as well when they're together. Now he has a little bit more speed than Bjugstad, but he's also long and long stick. So it kind of becomes intimidating, and you take up a lot of space. So you intimidate with your ability to just kind of take away and limit space for other teams. So a nice play from Fogle to him. He takes his time, buries it. I think that's his third goal since he's been in Edmonton.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure that is necessarily what they got him for, but it's always nice to get goals out of that area. So it feels like, and it looks like he's settled in and feels good about where his game's at, playing with the players he is here in this bottom six for the Oilers.
Yeah, and Jay Woodcroft said that he wasn't expecting that when they picked him up. The offense has been a nice added bonus. What do you think we will see from him when the playoffs hit and the temperature goes up and the physicality goes up? Because he has the size and I think the ability to be able to be on the right side of those battles, but he doesn't necessarily have a history where he's always as a guy that is. So what have you seen from him from a physical standpoint and how that might relate to a playoff run?
Well, I'll say this. They need him to be physical, right? Whether he has an appetite for it or not, he needs to be physical. The good thing for him is, as a big guy, you can take a lot of hits. Like a good example is Matthias Ekholm. When he's a big guy, when he sees a hit coming, he's like, okay, I'll accept this hit, but it's not going to hurt you because the guy is either shorter than you or lighter than you or both, and you're not too worried about it. So Bjugstad has the same ability, but he can get into places pretty well. He needs to finish some checks. So I haven't seen a ton of physicality from him. I don't think that's maybe in his soul, but you got to step out of yourself inside the playoffs and be, a harder player to play against. So still take up that space, still have a good stick, still win those face-offs, get to the net, but you got to get to there in the walls in a very nasty mood.
I like the look of their bottom six right now as much as I have probably in quite a while. Just the different options they have. Not just that, but they've got some different types of players that are available to them too. Like you got, McLeod's a speedster. You got Devon Shore's kind of a guy that does a bunch of things well when he's playing well. You got the big guy in Bjugstad. Costin has some skill and some toughness there. Janmark is the penalty killer. Like, it feels to me like they have really useful NHL players slotted into their bottom six that at different times are going to be really useful through a playoff run.
Oh, absolutely. And you want to have that different look. You want a bit of mix and match. It's you're not going to play the same 18 skaters every single game. Injuries or different looks or whatever will change it up. So I think we might see through these next 11 games that the Oilers have left, you're going to see, different combinations just to see what it looks like. It may not be the perfect one. And I think that we kind of like Shore and Ryan together. I don't mind the Fogle Bjugstad. So you're going to try to different things and figure out what does it look like? What does this all fit together? What does it look like when they're together? And then, Fogle, when you bring him in, what does that look like for him as well? So nice to have options. We've highlighted this before, but there'll be players that don't deserve to be sitting out game 83.
Zuby, if there's any more comments you want to get to on YouTube, let's go ahead and do that. Shane Can America chimes in and says 4 hits tonight, talking about Bjugstad. 7 last game, led team both games. So that's notable. He's and that stat is sometimes kept a little bit funny, but notable. When you have 2 games in a row where you're leading the team, at least he's showing the attention there. Huge night for Draisaitl on the faceoff circle. I'm just noticing tonight as well. It was 20-9. In the face-off circle.
Did you notice he was doing it differently? He wasn't just trying to win it with his stick. He was going forward, pressuring, pushing the guy off the dot, and then kicking it back. So especially in that, I want to say it was the power play towards the end of the game. But it was very neat to see his technique wasn't all the same. So maybe something better, or he realized it's not feeling that good, his whatever it is, little incident was, and he's using it differently. So I really like that look from Leon because you want to keep other teams guessing.
Yeah. Zuby, anything off YouTube you want to get to, my man?
A couple people shouting out Kyler Yamamoto and Lucas, he mentioned quickly goal and assist +3 in about 20 minutes. So that people wondering how you guys feeling about Yamo's game tonight.
Well, and got the shout out from his head coach tonight too, right? Kind of unprompted, Jay Woodcroft made mention of Kyler Yamamoto's night tonight on a night where guys were struggling to find it. 20 minutes is a fair chunk of ice time for him. That tells you the coach liked what he was seeing.
Yeah, I mean, he's the energetic bunny, right? And he's had long stretches of inactivity because of injuries. Now the lines were mixed up a little bit all over the place, but he did have some time with Leon. And trust me, if Leon didn't want him there, he would not be on that line. Like, that's just the way it is. So he's there. I'm not suggesting that, Leon's running the team, but there's conversations,
Oh,
about who we want to be beside, and he's there. So he gives you all he's got. He's in the mix. That goal is just being in the right place at the right time. But he's got to play a big man's game in a smaller man's body, and that's always going to be a challenge for him.
Quick rip around the National Hockey League tonight. I'm sure people saw most of these results, but how about the LA Kings laying an absolute thumping on the Calgary Flames? 8 goals they put up on the Flames tonight. Pick up an 8-2 win. The Avalanche just stomp the Blackhawks to the tune of 5-0. Big games out in the East as well. The Panthers pick up a couple of much-needed points with a 5-2 win over Detroit. And a great story in Ottawa. Yeah. Real nice goaltending performance there. The Pittsburgh Penguins really right in the middle of a really intense playoff race right now. And they drop a game that they had absolutely no business dropping. But just a fantastic goaltending performance from Dylan Ferguson. I'm just trying to get the number of saves. I think he was close to 50.
That's crazy.
What was he? 48 of 49 in the game in his NHL debut. So a real fun game there out east. So you check the standings. I mean, the Oilers, they've been picking up a lot of points here, but they're having it's tough. It's tough to work your way up the standings with all these 3-point games happening all over the place. They've been playing some good hockey and picking up lots of points. I'd have thought they'd have been closer to a division lead by playing at this pace, but everybody seems to be keeping pace with them, Struds.
No, it's just that time of year, right? It's just hard to make up points. So they got 11 games left, and what do they have to make up? 4, I think, on Vegas, and Vegas has a game at hand.
Yeah, exactly.
There.
Yeah, you got her.
So, I mean, you got to win.
Got a couple games against them too, though, right? I think they got 2 against Vegas in the next week, don't they?
Yeah, they do. And I'll say this about Mike Greer, general manager of the Sharks. He's probably thrilled with tonight's outcome. The guys battle hard, but you only get 1 point. So you don't move too far up or down, however you want to look at it. That race to the bottom for Bedard. You don't want points. You don't want points.
Yet the Arizona Coyotes continuing to just find ways to win
I
games.
love that.
They can't even lose properly.
It's karma. That's absolute karma. You're going to, because they're not in, I get they're not breaking the rules with the way they're using those contracts, but it's not the spirit of the rule. So that's karma, man. Get the 10th pick. Congrats.
100%. Zuby, roll the music. That's going to wrap the live stream tonight, folks. A little shorter. It was a late night. Also, we're going to be up early tomorrow morning, executing a Got Your Back LeBron and Rishaug tomorrow. Montreal Canadiens general manager Kent Hughes joined Pierre and I, so we're going to drop that podcast first thing tomorrow morning. Struds, turn the light off. Go crawl into bed. Call it a night, my man.
I will, buddy. Thanks for this, guys. Take care. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Okay, talk soon. Zuby, thank you kindly, my man. Big thanks to our sponsors as well. Mr. Dirk, DLR Vinyl Products, Sherwood Buick GMC, and of course our good friends over at Weiss Johnson. Game set to go on Wednesday night. We'll probably drop a pod after that one as well. Not sure if it'll be Wednesday night or Thursday morning, but plenty of podcasts coming your way here on Got Your Back. Rishaug and Strudwick, LeBron and Rishaug. Just keep an eye on our Twitter feed. We'll talk soon, folks. Have a great night. Thanks for joining us here on the stream. Cheers.